All right, well, it sounds like things have slowed down here. Folks are going to probably come in a little bit later. So first of all, welcome. This is the Rose Valley Creek Restoration Public Engagement Virtual Meeting. And if that's what you're looking for, you're in the right place. A few housekeeping items. You are being recorded. So if you are comfortable with that, please stay on. And then the recording will also be available on the Forest website once we get the recording posted. So first, I'd like to introduce you to our panel members. We have representatives from the Forest Service and team members from CalTrout, as well as some other supporting cast members. And the first person I would like to introduce you to is the Karina Medina, the District Ranger for the Ojai Ranger District. So Karina, would you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Karina Medina. I'm the District Ranger for the Ojai Ranger District and the Malpainos Ranger District here in the Los Padres. Thank you for joining us today in this virtual setting. I'm really looking forward to hearing all of your voices surrounding the Rose Valley Creek Restoration Project.
All right, great. And then could I have Megan Schwartz? Could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Megan Schwartz. I'm working as a consultant supporting the Forest Service on this project as we go through the Rose Valley Creek permitting and planning process.
Yes, and I'd like to introduce Dan Tormey. Dan, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Dan Tormey. I work with Megan Schwartz on the consulting team supporting the Forest Service for this project.
All right, and then Diane Cross.
Good afternoon, everyone. Diane Cross, Assistant Recreation Officer for the Ojai Ranger District, currently on a temporary assignment to the regional office. Welcome, everybody.
And Christy Close, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christy Close, and I'm the Forest Fisheries Biologist, and really happy to have everyone here to talk about this exciting project.
All right. Heidi Gunther, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes. Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Heidi Gunther. I'm the forest botanist on the Los Padres National Forest. Rather new and to the forest, started in August, so I look forward to hearing what everyone has to say.
Great, and Russell Marlowe. Looks like Russell, if you could unmute and show your video.
Is that coming up now, Heidi? Yeah. Afternoon, everyone. My name is Russell Marlowe. I'm the program manager for CalTrout in our Ventura office, and we have been working with the Forest Service since day one to rethink and plan for this project. So we're excited to have you here today, and we're looking forward to speaking with you.
Great, and I am Heidi George. I am the forest hydrologist on the Los Padres National Forest, and my role will be reviewing all of the comments that come in today, and we're really excited to have everybody here. So we'll get started. Unless I miss somebody, please speak up now on the panel. All right. I must have gotten everyone. So I'm going to switch screens, and I do want you to be aware of a few things actually as I do this. I did mention that we're recording. I will have all of you on mute. And then if you have trouble being able to hear, you can call back in or maybe try a different server. So there won't really be a ability for you to comment during the presentation, but you're welcome to find the little bubble in the top of your screen. That's the chat button. And then you can add comments in there if you like. And then later on, after the presentation, we're going to be opening it up for comments. And then we'll have a panel. We'll have the panel responding to whatever we can possibly, help with capturing your comment and making sure you get some acknowledgement that we have captured it, and we're going to include it in, all of the next steps that come forward. I do want to also let you know that at the end of the presentation, there will be instructions for commenting. And what I want to go into now is the presentation. We'll follow it with the leader's intent, and that's Karina Medina. And then we'll talk about a few objectives, and we'll have some closing comments, and then we'll open up the workshop to your comments and questions in about 15 minutes. So here we go.
Hey, Heidi.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to also add, for those of you who require closed captioning, that option does exist. So if you see the ribbon on top, there's 3 little dots. You click on that, and you will see an option to turn on closed captions. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you. Thank you. So here we are, Rose Valley Creek. Oh, I bet you can see my mouse. Let me show you where the creek actually lies. In the bottom part of your photo of your image is the southern Rose Valley Lake, and the creek is right down in here. And then it crosses the road, it goes into Middle Lake, and then it goes all the way to the northern lake, what we call the Upper Lake. Lower Lake. That's downstream. And you can also see in the background the Topa Topa mountain range and some other large features in Rose Valley. This is like a great big flat meadow area that we'll talk about has had some previous disturbance in it, as well as quite a bit of the foreground. So let's keep going here. Yes, so the purpose of this workshop is to share what we're learning about aquatic habitat at Rose Valley Creek. And we want to take what we're learning and we want to share that with you. And what we hope to get is some feedback from you, some personal experiences, some concerns, some thoughts. If you have any information that you would like to share, this is really about us listening to you. But to do that, we want to provide a little bit of history, and we really want to share with you why we're here and what is this even about. You saw in the previous image the lakes, and what we are really concerned about are the invasive species that reside in those lakes. And what our big objective is to get back to native species. So in the historically, we had steelhead, we had these guys. So Sespe Creek lies below Rose Valley Creek, and Sespe Creek is a wild and scenic river, and it flows into another river that goes to the ocean. So this is an anadromous, historically an anadromous fishery, and right now we have invasive species that, if you can imagine a bowl of water and you drop in 1 drop of ink, how that drop of ink might spread in that water. And that's kind of what happens with invasive species. And having that go through the whole system is something that affects the whole system. So we're looking at the large picture here, and we want to think not only about just the smaller area that is Rose Valley Creek, we want to look at the larger picture that takes into account habitat and support for these steelhead. So Karina, would you like to give the leader's intent, please? Oh, wait a second, my audio is not showing that you are being recorded. All right, time out, you guys. I think I hit a button that took away all the permissions for Karina to be able to be heard.
Heidi, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. Thank you.
Okay. And so I do see that since we started the meeting, we have some new members of the public who have joined us. So I'll just reintroduce myself. I'm Karina Medina. I'm the district ranger for the Ojai Ranger District and the Malpanos Ranger District here on the Los Padres. And so welcome to this virtual public engagement for the Rose Valley Creek Restoration Project. We typically do these public meetings in person, but as all of you are aware, we are currently living and managing through a worldwide COVID-19 pandemic. So we decided to make this public engagement virtual in order to ensure the safety of all of you and to prevent the possible spread of the COVID-19 virus. I understand that this platform is new to all of you, so I do appreciate all of you still making an effort to join us. As a district ranger here on the Los Padres, it's my responsibility to consider the need to restore Rose Valley Creek, and I'm starting this process by hearing your voices, your ideas, and your concerns. So I do invite you to join me in learning about the many public resources and cultural values that take place here at Rose Valley Creek, and the opportunities that I need to consider as I pursue a successful habitat restoration at Rose Valley. I assume some of you are very familiar with the area, its history, recreational opportunities, the landscape, and even the connection to visitors. Some of you may not be familiar, or may be less familiar with Rose Valley. Our intention is to cast a very wide net for this public engagement. We've done so through our public resources, our social media platforms, our forest mailing list, which includes local landowners, federal and state agencies, tribal governments, and some of you who are likely naturalists and other interested parties. I welcome you and I encourage you to fully participate in this process. California Trout is working with the Forest Service and the public to design this project. California Trout is an environmental nonprofit focused on healthy fish habitat in California. Together, we will begin looking at what restoration is needed for the Rose Valley Creek, what it might look like, and the feasibility of such effort. Again, just wanted to remind you that my responsibility as a district ranger is implementing the Los Padres Forest Plan. An important part of this plan includes reducing the potential impacts to the Southern California steelhead population at Rose Valley. The ecological restoration of Rose Valley Creek provides an opportunity to meet the forest plan goals. Again, thank you for being here, and I'm looking forward to hearing all of your voices as we design this restoration project.
Right, thank you, Karina. All right, so here we are with the forest objectives, forest plan objectives as well. It's really about recovery for federally listed species. In the past, as I mentioned, there's quite a bit of disturbance that occurred out at Rose Valley. And in our 2005 forest plan, we are following the guidance that's provided in there to look at Rose Valley and look at that direction that's in the forest plan to remove non-native species and provide habitat for native species. So we're focused on right now aquatic species, but we also are considering, whatever terrestrial species may also be non-native. So the disturbance, where did that come from? The largest disturbance out at Rose Valley had to do with the Navy battalions. Let's see, Navy construction battalions. So the acronym CB became SEA BEES, the Seabees. And there might be some folks on this call that are part of that, that have a history of when that was happening on the ground, and we're really interested in finding out more about that. But we do have some history already that we're aware of, and we are aware of the major disturbance that was done during that time. And so to take that disturbance and try to make it into habitat, we're looking at the whole system. So once again, the watershed, the whole system. And as a hydrologist, I am very, very aware of what's going on with the channel, the floodplain, and stream flow. Here's a map that shows a plan view of Rose Valley. A lot of the folks that are visiting the area come in from the west. North is straight up in this image, from the west to the east. And I'll use my cursor. So if folks come in from Ojai perhaps, or Highway 33, and they come in here, and then at this point they can turn north and be able to go down along Roosevelt, the lower lake. And there are some older picnic areas. There are some infrastructure areas down there. And there's also a dam right in here. And that dam is what the Seabees constructed. So they actually removed all the material in this little polygon I'm making right here, this little area, and they pushed it with dozers, and you'll see that in the next few pictures. And they created a dam. So that is the lowest dam that dams Rose Valley Creek. And then you might be familiar if you went south and you came into the what's called the Upper Rose Valley Lake Day-Use area on the map. But really what people are familiar with are the Rose Valley Creek Campground. And people can go up there and enjoy that right now. Let's see. So yeah, 3 miles east of Highway 33. So the question is, why restore Rose Valley Creek? You can see they really did push a lot of ground around, and what I see are stream gravels and cobbles in this image, and it's hard to tell, but we do have quite a bit of evidence on the ground for the disturbance that occurred during that time. And this is one of the products of their efforts, and the Forest Service really received a lot of good work from the efforts the Seabees made, and we asked them to help us with constructing these campgrounds, and but I'm not sure what all else we asked them to help us with. It might have been roads as well, but we also had at one time, we likely had wetlands out there as well. So we're just a little bit shy of the potential for these systems to actually provide habitat for native species. And yes, you can see evidence of the Thomas fire the Piru fire that went through here, not the Thomas, the Piru fire. And in the background, there's the dam. There's quite a bit of vegetation on that. And in the summertime, this dam holds back just a little bit of water. There's usually not that much water, but this is the only lake that really holds water throughout the summer. Those other two lakes dry up. And here's another photo of a place you might be familiar with. And And I think, you know, with Rose Valley Creek, people have developed a lot of good memories out there, and we're aware of that. You know, this is an important place for a lot of people, and having a different kind of stream channel might help create new memories, and perhaps you know, provide a higher quality recreational experience with native species. So here's the sea bees. They are right in the middle, down in the stream channel. We know that this elevation up here was tied to another elevation over here. So if you can imagine that this was all excavated. So from a hydrologic viewpoint, filling that back in to a elevation would probably, you know, mimic more of what was going on in the, you know, before they disturbed that. This material was pushed into dams, and you know, there was some changes that were made for the native species. So the steelhead trout right now that are actually in the system down in the Sespe, they have a more difficult time being able to survive because they're competing with non-native species for habitat and for food. So our goal is to restore Rose Valley Creek to support those native species. And like I mentioned before, you know, when they cut out the bottom of the channel, it makes it more efficient for water to flow through a system when water is not being stored in the floodplain. And what that means is that you have short duration stream flow, and you don't get that longer water table support that allows water to go into your stream channel and support a longer duration of stream flow. And we call that, you know, being in a properly functioning condition where you have your processes intact. And what that means is your stream is able to get up on top of a floodplain and infiltrate water. I realize I'm starting to talk hydrology, so I apologize. So the way to actually restore that habitat is what we're exploring right now. We don't know the way. There are a lot of ways that we can approach this, and we want to consider everything that is part of the system, the ecosystem, and as well as the system that provides opportunities for the public to go out and enjoy the area. I am going to, take you down here. This is the Middle Lake, and the creek comes in over here, enters from the top downstream. And I believe this was once a wetland, just looking at the topography. And that's where we saw the dozers in the previous photograph where I said, you know, connecting this elevation with this elevation. What I'm saying is that they excavated all of that and they constructed this dam with a spillway. Makes it really hard for native species to navigate that. And part of what we're thinking about is replacing, you know, the low water fords to make it easier for fish aquatic organism passage. There's some other issues that we have. This is a box culvert, and now we're looking down Rose Valley Creek. We're downstream of the Middle Lake, and this is the riparian area. So you can imagine there's got to be a lot of water in that system. And it's just moving through a little too rapidly for it to really be able to support riparian area in those places that have been disturbed. It looks like it's doing pretty well in that location. And here's a downstream view from the culvert inlet. And you can imagine if you're a small aquatic organism, the only way that you would be able to get through that is during a high flow period. And that's actually when we expect non-native species to make it all the way down to the Sespe River, as well as, the Santa Clara River and to the ocean. So we will be doing an environmental review once we have a proposed project. Right now, we're just getting familiar with it. This has been going on, and we've been having discussions for quite a while. We would be following the National Environmental Policy Act, the California Environmental Quality Act, and we will be getting permits from California Division of Fish and Wildlife Service, the United States Army Corps of Engineers, and the Regional Water Quality Control Board. And we will also be consulting with our tribes, our tribal members, and we will be conducting all of our work in accordance with Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act and California Assembly Bill 52. And this is part of the outreach that we hope to support all of that. So some of the things that we're pretty sure are concerns that we need to address include limitations on recreational uses. We know that this is going to change, like I mentioned earlier, the memories that people have there. We know that there might be a big disconnect for some people, but we hope to work through that so that we better understand what that might be. There might be restricted camping opportunities. We actually really don't know. We haven't had a chance to look at that yet. There's a change in aesthetic quality. It's a different landscape that we're looking at if we were to restore that habitat. And there is the consideration of a loss of a water source during a wildfire, and what has happened in the past is that actually water has been used from other lakes, not necessarily Rose Valley lakes. So there are other sources of water, but we really haven't looked at that either yet. So what I'd like to do is invite Karina to provide the leaders' closing comments, please.
Heidi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Again, thank you for, I'm sorry, Heidi, I'm gonna have to mute you. Getting really bad feedback. Okay. Again, thank you so much for joining on this virtual public engagement. As Heidi pointed out, there's many areas of consideration, a lot of information we don't know. I'm looking forward to hearing more from you, your concerns, your thoughts, your questions you have surrounding what restoration of Rose Valley Creek will look like, or what it should look like. I encourage you to go out to Rose Valley and explore the area yourself, tour it if you're not familiar with it. But I do trust that many of you who have joined us today are familiar, so please share your experiences with us. Thank you for participating in this process. So we're going to turn it around to some questions and answers. In that process, we would like to hear from you what thoughts, concerns, ideas you might have for us right now while we have everybody engaged in, as well as our panel members.
Hey, I'd like to, this is Pete Savalas, the tribal liaison. Everybody hear me?
Hi, Pete. Yeah.
How are you?
Good, thanks. Glad to see you.
Yes, one of the things I'd like to tell folks is that I have been making contact with tribal folks around the Ventura, Ojai area. And there's Julie Kumamite's family is one of the oldest families located in Ojai. And I'm still doing a little research with them and find out about their fathers and uncles that were back there at that time in the 50s and after that. So anyway, I thought I would introduce myself. I'm the tribal liaison, and I'm looking forward to working with all. Thank you.
All right. All right, great. Thank you, Pete. I do want to, Karina just mentioned that, we have some we're going to be open for public comment in a minute here. But we have several different ways for you to comment. You can call Pete up directly if that works for you. Pete likes phone calls and he's happy to take any comments you might have. We also have the chat available right now for you to put in a comment. And if you want to submit your comment to the forest, please, in an email, we'll give you that address in a minute. But here's some ideas about how your comment can be the most valuable for being able to convey it from what you're thinking to what we understand. So I'm not going to read these out, but we just want to encourage you to, share your comment in a way that we are most able to respond to it. And then here is the address that you'll be able to submit comments to. So both Karina Medina, who's the district ranger, she will, you can send comments to her at this address, and you can also CC or send comments to the Rose Valley Creek comments at CE Solutions, and it would be really helpful if you could put Rose Valley in the subject line, or even Rose. That would be really helpful. All right. And so now I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Let's see here. And would everyone who would like to comment, would you please turn on your screen if you like? First of all, there's a little hand with a person icon at the top, and you can raise your hand first and I can call on you. And then I'll call on you, and then if you could bring up your video, if you can turn on your camera, and that way leave it on until we've finished addressing you, and our panelists, whoever is responding to that comment, if you could please turn on your camera as well. So do we have anybody that would like to comment? Carol, hi. Got that hand raised, and now your microphone. Let's see. Carol, your microphone.
Can you hear me?
Now we can, thank you.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Carol Pierce. I'm the captain of Rose Valley Neighborhood Watch for the last 10 years plus. I live on private property here on Howard Creek, near the confluence of the Sespe River, and those trouts get to the Sespe by way of the Rose Creek and then Howard Creek, which is right next to my house. So I do have a couple of questions and concerns. I am definitely concerned. We've been through many wildfires, so I'm definitely concerned about the loss of the water resource in this high, dry, high fire risk area. Also, I am concerned about our neighbor at Rancho Grande, Richard Murad. I'm not sure if he's here or not because I haven't had a chance to read the list of attendees, but we had a meeting with Christy Close, Russell Marlowe, and myself at the neighbor's Rancho Grande because he also has a lake that's full of fish that are non-native. So that his lake at Rancho Grande connects to us by way of Howard Creek. So we have lots and lots of catfish in the Howard Creek next to my house. But you'll also be happy to know that we do see trout as well, which just thrills us to see that. So his lake would be a conversation you'd want to have specifically with him. I believe we started it last year when we had the in-person meeting between Christy, myself, and Russell. And then I may need to speak with the group about Howard Creek that runs right in front of my house, because we do not have a bridge to cross. So we're always concerned that every time we drive across Howard Creek that our vehicles might be dropping a drop of oil or something else toxic. And we're concerned about that because we really would like to do our part to restore the native trout population to the best of our ability. And then also, I think we have 6 private properties up here in Rose Valley. The landowners that will be most immediately and directly affected by these changes would be Kathleen Hughes and David Schumacher, who own the property on the western side of the lower lake. And so the only way they can get to their property is by using the low water crossing that's there now. So I have a question about what the new what will the new structure look like that would allow fish to pass safely but still allow Kathleen and Dave to access their property? And then also the timing of these changes for them are going to be critical. Let me see. Did I make another note here? I think that's the only questions I have right now. Questions and comments. So what do I do now? Do I turn my camera off?
Well, why don't you leave it on? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for all those great comments, Carol. We do recognize the concern about wildfire, as well as access, as well as promoting native species. And we will be looking at all of those things with the project. And we will be, thank you for the names. I'm sure we have them from previous meetings that sounds like you've been to. And I know that there will be further communication with everybody. And it looks like Karina would like to comment on that. Go ahead, Karina.
Thank you, Carol. As you mentioned, your commitment to, protecting the trouts, right? And so just to also reiterate, this meeting will be recorded. So in case any of the other 6 neighboring landowners or 5 neighboring landowners are not able to attend, then we'll make sure that we get them a link so that they can get a little more information.
Thank you very much.
So Carol, I want you to walk away feeling like you were heard.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank
Great.
you.
Yeah, great. Well, I look forward to working with you. Is there anybody else? Okay, Carol, I think you can ask another. Is there any other comment you would like to make? And if not, you can go ahead and turn off your camera and lower your hand.
Oh, okay. I think I'm good for now. And thank you for the time to speak. Here goes my camera and my hand.
Okay, great. Awesome. So are there any other comments that we're happy to try to respond to?
Okay. Alrighty. David, I saw your comment. Would you like to unmute yourself and just share more?
Sure. Yeah, I've been around the area for a very long time, and actually remember when the Seabees had the Seabee base there. Anyway, one of the big concerns I have is that the lakes actually have habitat for a number of wetland species that are locally rare, very few occurrences in anywhere in Ventura County. So it depends on which lake. And if you go to iNaturalist, you can see a number of those. But I'm actually developing a checklist of all the plants known from Rose Valley, and I'll certainly share that.
Thank you, David. And thanks again
Oh,
go ahead.
One other thing, there's actually a new species, or what we think is a new species of Claytonia on the bank of Middle Lake. I'm working with Matt Williams of Santa Barbara Botanic Garden. You know, he actually, I found it and he says, yeah, I've been looking at that and we're trying to figure out what it is. So it may be a new species. So we definitely want to be careful about extirpating new species.
Great, thank you, David, for the information. I'm Heidi Gunther, the forest botanist who's new.
Hi, Heidi.
I wrote that down. Thank you so much.
Good.
Zavala, I see your hand up. You want to pop on?
Yeah, I have a question for David. So you've been doing some plant ID out there at in Rose Valley. It's very interesting how many native plants have survived throughout the years. I know the last time I went out there, star thistle was dominating. Dominated everything, so that's kind of cool. I do want to speak, with you on the botanist. So yeah, thank you much for sharing that.
Sure.
Just want to check one more time. Anybody else? Would you like to share anything before we wrap this up? Okay.
All right. Well, we don't want to keep you, and we do want to keep to our schedule, but we're really glad that you hung in there with us. And we hope to hear from you in comments in the future. So we're going to say goodbye. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here with us today. Really is important. It means a lot to us to help us manage our public land. So thank you. You guys take care.